us and sent us. Yeah, they labeled us some sinners, thinking we beginners. I've been hustling all winter, now I'm moving like a, and they don't like that. If the devil throwing punches, little nigga fight back. The pain, the strife, anxiety, depression through the night. Still I move with the light. Trust God, have faith without sight. And they say life is what you make it, but you never learn life until you take it into your own hands. Dummy, this is God's plan. Gave me the ingredients and put it in the pan. Shit, I just had to season it and bake it. Ignorance is bliss, we just living in some fake shit. I'm screaming power rule like I'm whack in the Matrix. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Life's really simple, we just make it complicated.
Almost got me. Almost got me. Man, it's good to be here for the wind down with y'all, man. What's up, good people? Just saw y'all yesterday, and I feel like so much has happened. So much has happened. We got a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. It's as you're joining, please do make sure that you're hitting that like button, boosting that algorithm. Maybe send to some friends, all right? Maybe send to some friends. It's the evening. Y'all ain't got nothing else to do. Might as well tap in, join the family for a lively discussion, hopefully purposeful discussion, just around what's going on. A lot of these things that have been happening, we've been calling out for a very long time. And it's like, damn, with Joe Kent's resignation, things are getting a little testy. And it seems like with every bit of new news that we're experiencing, everything that drops, that even though we may have already known that was the case, but it seems like when it's actually happening, it's like, at what point is something going to really hit the fan to where things start to shake up? So I really think this is the beginning of the end for Trump. This is the beginning of the end for whatever that means. This is the beginning of the end. This may be the beginning of this is the beginning of the end, where his last chapter is going to be defined by how he moves as of right now. It was already looking bad for me, to be totally honest. It was already looking bad. Trump may go down as one of the worst presidents in history if he doesn't figure out a way to just get us out of Iran without anybody else dying. If he's going to be the president that completely gives our government to Israel, and that can be very dangerous for a lot of reasons, in my opinion. That can put Israel in a weird position, and that can put Americans in a weird position to create a lot of ill feelings towards Israel. And we know that Jewish people have a strong connection with Israel, because a lot of times when you call out Israel, people get take offense, even if they're in America, just because that's the only Jewish state. I understand. But based on what's happening with our government, there's clearly a takeover. There is clearly a takeover of our government. We've been talking about it for a very long time, but now we have Joe Kent in his position. The director of national intelligence, right? Think about that. The director of national intelligence, National Counterterrorism Center. The Counterterrorism Center has come out and said, Israel got us into this war. They've been the Israel lobby has been feeding Donald Trump misinformation, which I thought that was a little bit of a pass for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a grown-up. He's the president. He has to take some responsibility, or he has to take full responsibility when it comes to the information, how he's receiving it, who he's receiving it from, how they're vetting it. But if Joe Kent can understand that it was misinformation, then there's no reason for Donald Trump to. So I don't know where all this goes, but we're going to go and listen to Ted Cruz. We got some other people giving their feedback on what this means. We're going to look at some of Mark Levin's, his post on X ever since. And we're just going to go a little bit all over the place. And if y'all have something that y'all want to share, feel free. I have a great video from, I forget which Pope it is. I believe it's Pope Leo, who I'm actually appreciative of the message that he put out. And I think this was from a couple weeks ago. So my mom sent it to me a couple weeks ago. So shame on me for not putting that out there, because, we call out a lot of our religious leaders. Nowadays, you can't tell religious, political in a lot of ways, but we call out a lot of our religious leaders to kind of stand up and address these type of things. And I think we're going to be able to bring everything together, hopefully, and just have a little bit more clarity on this situation. And regardless of the situation, we got to figure this out together. I have to stress that. Regardless of the situation, I'm going to try to give as much grace as I can in these conversations, but y'all know I'm going to be direct. Have to be direct, because if you're not direct, people die. You know what I'm saying? You're complicit in people dying. When you start to walk on eggshells and straddle the fence, that's when people die. That's when our government gets compromised over and over for many years. And then we get to a point now where we're engaging in a war that has absolutely nothing to do with our country, and Americans are dying, and other people, we're killing people. Like, a lot of times you hear people talk about these things as if it's just the American lives that we care about. Like, that just goes to show you that we're not looking at this thing called life the right way. When we're trying to point out that something bad is happening, and the only consideration we have is for the American lives that are lost. So perhaps we can look at it from all angles. I know that may not be the case for everybody, but that's what I'm gonna do. So do me a favor, like. Let's get the room packed. We got a lot to discuss. I'm standing up today. It's full energy today. It's full energy tonight. I got water. I was going to have a little bit of scotch, but we just straight water. May put a little lime juice or lemon juice in there, but that's what it is. That's what it is. And all right, so let me get to, y'all know we start off every show with showing some love to everybody that joins in. Of course, we got Big Bro Finn tapping in. It's 1 o'clock over there in England. Or 1:13, I should say. I've been rambling for a few minutes, but shout out to Big Bro, always showing love, always giving us some good insight. Your state influences your actions, and your actions influence the environment around you. Like tuning a radio, the station you hear depends on the frequency you dial. All right, so this Big Bro is always on the same page, the same frequency. So we put out a video. I'm not even sure if it actually came out yet. Like, I did the video yesterday. I sent it to OHGI, and I'm not sure if she put it out yet. Matter of fact, I think it is out. The video on auto suggestion that we did. Actually, no, I don't think it is out. This is a Napoleon Hill concept of auto suggestion, about us programming our minds, us programming our subconscious mind. So therefore, we can make sure that we're elevated on a certain frequency, and therefore the opportunities while they're on that frequency are going to be aligned with the things that we want, right? See it before we do it. Turning what's up here into reality. That's the goal. So shout out to you, Big Bro. Find strength in adversity. What arrives to break you is often exactly what forges you. The storm doesn't destroy the strong. Oh, that early? They shutting it down that early? Damn, they done kicked me off that early? All right, well, hopefully y'all heard it. I'll read it again. I think it deserves to be read again. Find strength in adversity. What arrives to break you is often exactly what forges you. The storm doesn't destroy the strong, it reveals them. All right, and this is we're built to adapt and become sharpened by everything that we go through. That's what we're built for. Think about any accomplishment that we have to, go through certain challenges, any big milestone accomplishment. We had to earn that. Things that are not given to us, that you actually have to go through the fire, go through the ups and downs, the challenges, and you come out better on the other end. And when you come out on the other end, you have invaluable tools, skills, and experience that nobody can take away from us. So that's the part about embracing the storm. Embrace the storm. And also, we know that right after that storm, what ends up happening? Clears out, beautiful day. All right. So if we want the championship trophy, we can't get mad if we got to run through a team and run through whatever challenges are necessary. So appreciate that message. Appreciate that message. Oh, it's 12 a.m. here. All right. So 12 a.m. here, not 1 a.m. Google didn't account for my clocks. Don't go forward until next week. So there's currently only a 4-hour time gap between us instead of the usual 5. Still, I made. Well, appreciate you as always. Appreciate you as always. Shout out to Big Bro Steve in the building. No oppression is so heavy or lasting as that which is inflicted by the perversion of legal authority. Hold up. I got to look into that a little more. Hold up. No oppression is so heavy or lasting as that which is inflicted by the perversion of legal authority. Yeah. I'm with that. Joseph Addison. Okay. I got to tap in with Joseph Addison. I believe this is my first time hearing about him. I'm not sure that I'm familiar. So definitely appreciate that. And during these times, you know, it's something to say about that. So appreciate that, big bro. Appreciate you. All right. Shout out to Boom Chow. Sucks, man. Only the real ones will actually resign. Yo. And we were just talking about this. And damn, I said, who was doing the interview? Now I got to look it up. Tucker Carlson was doing the interview. Maybe somebody else could look it up. There was a recent Tucker Carlson interview. I think we may have even played it. I think we played it a little bit on the live show where they were talking about the generals and the people in the military. If they resign, they lose their pension, retirement, all of that. So therefore, financially, it's going to be harder to see them retiring, right? It's a shame, but a lot of us, we justify our existence based on how we're able to put food on the table. It just is what it is. And, you know, you put your life into something and then have to walk away from it. That can be a difficult thing, but I don't think it's an excuse. I do not think it's an excuse because especially when you choose to enter, especially something like the military, when you choose to enter a position like politics, you're taking that responsibility upon yourself. It's no different than a cop. All right. Cops can't complain that I was put in the back. You decided to get into that position. You know, we're going to hold you in high regards, but you have to move accordingly. You know, you can't want to be held in high regards, but then want limited responsibility and accountability. So that's the same thing, the way that I look at it when it comes to the military. You know, you're choosing to engage in something that you know what that's about. So whether it's military or politics, and especially the politicians, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for us to be, because those are the people that are just making the decisions to unalive people all over the world and to put Americans at risk as well. So I'm with that. People got to stand on principles. People got to stand on principles. But these are just, during these trying times, we see who's really about that godly life. Who really believes in the principles of their particular God that they're saying that they align themselves with? You don't have to tell me. You just show me. I shouldn't have to. You don't need to wear a chain that shows a symbol of a cross or anything else or any other. You don't have to wear a star. You don't have to wear anything. All we have to do is show in our actions, right? It's like how many times, and y'all know I'm going to use the sports references, but how many times do you hear people, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be the next LeBron, I want to be the next Kobe. Son, no, you don't. You play video games all day. You do the bare minimum at practice. Every time somebody's trying to get you to come outside to run around and do some extra work, you're nowhere to be found. You're too tired. You stay up all night playing video games and watching Netflix. No, you don't. So it's the same thing when it comes to any other aspect of life. Don't tell me you want to get an A on the test. Don't tell me you want to go to Princeton, you want to go to Harvard, you want to go to Yale when you're not applying yourself when it comes to middle school, high school, and beyond, right? Because the habits are formed in elementary school. I remember my brother, my big bro, I remember bragging to him one time about my grades. Yeah, I got good grades. And now bragging about good grades doesn't really hold as much weight because really, it's the people that get the A's and the high B's. I'm realizing a lot of times they end up working for the kids that got the C's and the D's, the kids that weren't paying attention in class, looking outside the window because they weren't interested in what the teacher's talking about with all the goofy, whatever. I always, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about pointless stuff that we learned, like Pythagorean theorem, like the square pi and stuff like that. Teach me how to balance a checkbook or something. Like, teach me how to turn this dollar into $2. Then I'll pay attention. But yeah, I remember telling my brother that, and he hurt my heart. I thought that my grades in middle school and elementary school, this was actually elementary school, I thought that like had something to do with me getting into college. At that time, that's when Allen Iverson went to Georgetown. And I was like, y'all got to go to Georgetown. I got to get my grades up. So I got all A's that year. And yeah, the whole year. Yeah. All A's the whole year, every class. All right, just to be clear. And my brother, he just humbled me. He said, bro, that ain't got nothing to do with college. Like, ain't nobody looking at your elementary school grades. And I was distraught. I remember going to my mom or my dad, maybe both, and being like, yo, these grades don't count. And they were like, well, hey, give me one of those. All right, I don't even know how I got on that. Let's keep moving. Shout out to Bubbles in the building. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Bubbles. Hope all is well. Pen very well. Hola, Pen very well. Where you tapping in from? If you're new, let us know where you're checking in from. Finn said, I appreciate you all and the sense of purpose I found being a small part. Ain't nothing small with what you do, big bro. I promise you that. Being a big part of the OG kind of funny how being a big part of the OG family. Let me throw that in there. Kind of funny how the universe works sometimes when you find something you didn't even realize you were looking for. Whew, that's energy. That's frequency. When you're already there, you ain't got to be looking everywhere. You feel me? You're going to attract. So yeah, energy attracts energy. So hard times make hard people. Maybe we need to hit rock bottom to bounce back. Perhaps. I'm looking forward to it. If that's what we need to do, let's hit it. Let's get to it quick. No point in waiting. Nope. Let's just address it now. You ever had one of those things like, yo, if we gonna fight, then we might as well just fight now. Like, I don't want to be, if we gonna hit rock bottom, then we might as well just hit rock bottom now. That's the energy that I'm on. So hold on, let's keep it moving. We got Alex in the building. What's up, Alex? Hope all is well, fam. Hope all is well. Finn said, isn't Joe Kent the one Nick Fuentes campaigned against when he ran for Congress? So interesting story. So Joe Kent used to be aligned. I'm only hearing the story. I remember hearing it through Nick Fuentes. I didn't know who Nick Fuentes was at this time. I think this was back in like around March 2022. I think I was looking it up earlier. I think it was March 2022 because Joe Kent ran in Washington. I believe it was the 3rd district. And he won the primary, but then he lost in the general election. I think it was in 2022 and 2024. He was going for the House of Representatives. And Nick Fuentes was a friend of his. And apparently they were really aligned. And Nick Fuentes had campaigned to help Joe Kent initially. But then when I guess the Democrats or whoever else was trying to use that against him and saying like, yo, he's cool with a white supremacist. He's cool with they throwing all these names about my brother Nick. You know what I'm saying? My brother Nick. And they were throwing all these names out there. And I guess Joe Kent decided to make a political decision and be like, yeah, I disavow him. So then after that, that's when Nick Fuentes, instead of backing him as he was doing like real strongly, he decided to then push against him. So that was the energy. It'll be interesting to see how Nick responds to this now. A lot of people, I saw a few people responding to it and just saying like, they were disappointed in some of the things that, Joe Kent had went along with, but this actually may serve as some sort of, redemption. And I think he does have to get a lot of credit. And we're going to talk about it throughout today's show. But there's something to be said about somebody that's willing to go out there first. And I can't front. A lot of it is, it's always a little bit strategic, right? So nobody knew who Joe Kent was yesterday. Joe Kent today, if people were voting for J.D. Vance or Joe Kent and not knowing anything about Joe Kent, who would you vote for? Who would you vote for? Probably I'd go with Joe Kent. So Joe Kent, it seems like it was a little bit strategic, but it is what it is. He still has to face now everything that's getting ready to come his way because trust and believe. This is how I see it. Maybe they won't. But in my mind, they are getting ready to buck break Joe Kent because they cannot afford to have more people resign and write letters how Joe Kent wrote. Because if just one person does it, and they're already looking shaky. We're getting ready to look at a video of Mike Johnson, and he's responding, and he's giving a whole lot of You could tell they are nervous with this. You can tell this hits hard. And part of Trump picking people in his cabinet, bro, that's one of the main things. I'm sure that there's a lot of people upset with Israel. A lot of that too. But I'm sure there's a lot of perhaps people that back Trump, some of that is Israeli money, like Miriam Adelson, who are pissed off at Trump. Like, yo, we told you not to pick Joe Kent. You shouldn't. Because what does Trump ask? We've heard a bunch of people say that Trump asked first and foremost for loyalty. How loyal are you? Because at the end of the day, none of the other stuff matters. Trump is making the decisions. The only thing, the thing that he prioritized, that any leader, I'm assuming, would prioritize in his position, especially somebody that knows that they're getting ready to campaign on one thing and then do the exact opposite for whatever reason, for however many zeros of reasons there are. So the only thing that he has to do is make sure that he's reading somebody, right? It's like when you're interviewing somebody. Your job is to make sure that you get to figure out who exactly this person is and can you believe and trust the things that they're saying. Joe Kent was clearly trusted to be in his position. He had one of the highest clearances, I believe, out of anybody in Trump's administration. So with that being said, having the highest clearance and you're running the counterterrorism division, what does that say? That says that you have more information than anybody, and you drew this conclusion. You called out the Israeli lobby and you said that not only did they put us in this war, but they also put us in the war in Iraq. He's a very trustworthy person. His wife, he's a Gold Star husband. His wife died in service. I think I went on like 11 tours. This is Joe Kent he's a somebody right now. And I'm not going to put him up there with Thomas Massey, and part of it is a shame because he may have just jumped the line. He may have he could have potentially just jumped the line. My fault. I know I'm behind on these messages. Shout out to Mama Lay in the building. Shout out to Mama Lay. Love everything you said, Finn. Radio station is a huge example of frequency. If you aren't tuned in, does not mean it's not still on. That's a fact. That's Napoleon Hill. Looks like there might be another link out there, Bubbles. Oh, there's another link? Oh, shoot. And Mama Lay said, not a small part of OG, you're an important part. That's a fact. I'm grateful to have met you. We definitely all are. Shout out to Halus, man. Coming in early. Appreciate you. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Grandmaster Yoda. And that's something to take heed to, because a lot of people are fearful of speaking their mind because of the things that may come back their way. And I'm sure Joe Kent was, considering this thing a lot about the things that may come back his way. But then you get to a point where that fear ends up, becoming anger. You start to develop resentment for the group that's fueling that fear. And clearly when it comes to Joe Kent, it's Israel. And this is something that I worry about. Because you think back to, different stories of the Holocaust. And you always wonder, or I always wonder, like, how could this have happened? Like, how could we have gotten to a point where we allow something like this to happen, where humans where the people turn on it? And right now, I don't know if they're trying to brew a religious war, but it definitely feels like something is coming, because it's like, are you intentionally trying to create so much resentment for Israel to the point where most Americans, and clearly the tide has already been shifting. The tide has already been shifting with what Israel did to Palestine and continues to do to the Palestinians. A lot of Americans were like changing their tune when it comes to how we look at that situation. That was already happening amongst all Americans. And now we know that the young population, like these 20-year-old kids, they don't care about Israel like that. And they're also not scared to call out whether it's Jewish culture, Zionism, or Israel. They're not. They're just not. They're going to call a spade a spade. They look at situations just like anything else. We have no problem. Trump can call out the blacks, or we can call out this group, or call out the brown people, the Arabs. We can call them the Islamists. We can call out any other group. But we all know that when you talk about Jewish people, you got to walk on eggshells. When you call out Israel, you got to walk on eggshells, and people just aren't caring anymore. Just aren't even tripping over it. These young kids, it's not even like, they don't even have that initial fear. Like, you know how like little kids, we talked about this the other day, like little kids with animals and stuff like that. They don't even realize when they're in fearful situations. Like the 20-year-old kids, they're like, what? Like they grew up in that manosphere type of age where, and I was watching this new Netflix documentary, like go check out that manosphere documentary, where that has largely shaped how a lot of them see the world. And a lot of people may disagree, agree, wherever you are when it comes to the manosphere. But one thing that did show, the younger generation, they're not scared of Jewish influence or Israel. They're just not. Now, you don't have to agree with the things that are being said just to not be fearful of something. We grew up in fear. Our parents grew up in fear of calling certain things out amongst the Jewish population. It just is what it is. Call a spade a spade. We cannot keep walking on eggshells on this topic. You want to know why? Because people are dying. So either you're godly or you're not. and when you're one, then you're willing to call out no matter who's the person committing, whatever atrocity. If you're just going to call it out. And right now, Israel is bugging out. They're bugging out. They're putting us, they're endangering our lives, and they have us killing other people. That's what it comes down to. So, yeah, both. All right, I'm seeing I think there may be an issue with both websites should be open. So you should be able to tap into the live either on Black Guy in the Corner or the OG Network. And I'm going to try to just make sure. I see Maya in the building. Shout out to Tim. It's crazy how Megyn Kelly won't talk to Nick. The Jews are doing to her exactly what they did to Nick. That's a fact. That's a fact. It seems like she's trying to, yeah. Nick explains what happened between him and Kent in the Tucker interview. That's when I saw it. Okay, that's because I was wondering how I saw it. So shout out to Timothy. Appreciate that. I'm trying to scroll through this. I try to always recognize everybody. If I miss you on this one, keep commenting throughout the show, and I will definitely catch you before we finish out. And if you really want me to respond, just put like $1,000 super chat or something in there, and I'll make sure I get to it. But I'm messing with y'all. Of course. All right, so let's get to the first and foremost. Let me read the actual letter. If that's cool with y'all, I'm gonna bring up the letter that Joe Kent wrote. Let's go through the letter. Let's dissect it. Let's see if there's anything that we could take away from it that we haven't already. But yeah, yo, Joe Kent, he moving like an American hero right now. He's moving. As a matter of fact, I can't even block his face like that. It doesn't matter. And a lot of people who are pro-Israel, who are Zionists, may feel some type of way with this. It doesn't matter. Like, no disrespect to you, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because if this was any other country, we would call it out as such. And a lot of people like Bibi Netanyahu and in Israeli leadership have done this same thing. They came to us, Barack Obama, get out the way. I ain't even gonna come speak to you. I'm gonna talk to your people. And I'm gonna try to convince them to go to war because there's a particular threat here. Well, right now the threat is the Israeli lobby, the Zionist lobby that is clearly controlling our government. So just like Bibi Netanyahu came here and told us and put his foot down when it came to what we need to do in order to protect Israel, in order to protect America, whether it's weapons of mass destruction, whether it's Iran, whatever they're doing, whether it's the other 7 countries that or 6 countries that they're currently bombing right now. There's a threat to America right now, and that's what we are, Americans. So this is no disrespect to Israel. I mean, it's not intended as that. It's not coming from that. This is just more so understanding America and understanding the position that a lot of this Israeli money has put us in. So it is what it is. Do me a favor, like before we get into this. Big bro reminded me, don't forget to hit that like button. Yeah, this is the energy, man. We got to do some more night shows because I've actually preferred to go live at night. All right, so President Trump, after much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I ain't got 2 weeks for you. Today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Yo, that's the first thing that he mentioned. That's sentence 3. Like, leading off, I'm out of here. Number 2, it's based on my conscience. Number 3, it's how y'all moving based on pressure from Israel, what y'all doing it to Iran. And also, while we're reading this, think about the interviews that we've watched with the Iranian foreign minister. Think about those where it seems like, if, like I said, we put his interview on. He had one where I think it was on MS Now. Then he had one on Face the Nation that we looked at. And every time I kept saying, like, yo, I don't know, I don't trust him or anything like that. But it seems like he's saying the right things. I like the things that he's saying more than I like the things that Donald Trump is saying. He's saying, yeah, there's no winner in war. Okay. He's also saying like, nah, like, why would we ask for a ceasefire now? Y'all just bombed us when we were making strides in the negotiations. Here they had got to a point where they had pushed them to limit the uranium even more than what Barack Obama did. So it's like, yo, how much are they supposed to do? And when we later on hear videos like Ted Cruz responding to this, and when you hear about America, we needed to do this to defend ourselves, to do this, it's like, well, are other countries not allowed to defend themselves? Especially when we consider the things that Joe Ken is saying. It's like, bro, this has all been BS. Israel orchestrated this. And now it makes me sit back and wonder, like, damn, what else have they been lying to us about? What else have they been lying to us about? And that's the thing. We have such a distrust in our own government. It literally has people. There's a lot of people, I'm going to be real. There's a lot of people just rooting for Iran. They're not rooting for Americans to die, but they're not rooting for America to whatever this win looks like. They're not rooting for that. They don't like that. It gives off a bully energy. People aren't feeling that. This is what a distrust in your government creates. This is the chaos. So let's keep going. I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025, you understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. This is when I have to double down and say, it's not just about the lives of Americans. This is the trap that we fall victim to. The tribalism trap. Yo, like it or not, if you believe in God, bro, God is not putting borders on the world. Man put borders on the world. Man cut this up and diced this up and said, okay, we're going to put a border here. We're going to do this. So it's not just about the American lives that are lost. And until we can elevate beyond that type of thinking, we're constantly going to be in this trap of war over and over where it's us versus them. And because it's us versus them, we justify killing them, even though we don't want them killing us. And of course, if you then move to their side, they're saying the same thing. Like, yo, y'all are killing us. We don't want y'all. And then it's just a back and forth. And you end up being in the position that the Iranian foreign minister said, where nobody wins. Let's keep moving. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani, hopefully I pronounced that right, and by defeating ISIS. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, and that should you strike now, there was a clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that caused our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. Once again, we're over here talking about it cost America the lives of thousands. We murdered 1 million people. 500,000 children we murdered. Based on what Joe Ken is saying. Let me read this again. Hold on. This was a lie. Hold on. This was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. Israel didn't even send any troops to the Iraq war. In Iraq, Israel didn't send any troops. And us Americans killed 1 million people, 500,000 children. Based on Bibi Netanyahu in Israel telling us that there were weapons of mass destruction there, and we had a lot of people go along with it. And somebody told me to look at the Colin Powell speech, which was one of somebody was saying it's like one of the most disappointing speeches to see a guy like Colin Powell who tried to justify that war. So maybe it is time to kind of go back and refresh our minds about what happened there, because I did not know what was going on. I don't even, I was probably, when 9/11 happened, had already started then, but then we started up again. But I was a freshman in high school. I didn't know anything about politics. I didn't know anything about life. So let's keep going. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife, Shannon, in a war manufactured by Israel, bro is not pulling any punches. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife, Shannon, in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor justifies the cost of American lives. And I think he forgot to say, or other lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what we are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. It was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. Joseph Kent, man. Salute Joseph Kent, bro. Gotta salute Joseph Kent, man. Yeah. Joseph Kent, 2028, man. Joseph Kent, 2028. So Gold Star husband. So Connor asked, I wonder what he means by Gold Star husband. I think that's his wife, I'm assuming, got a Gold Star because she was killed in battle, I believe. Somebody could look that up, or I'm sure somebody in the chat knows about it. I'm sure Steve or Finn know about it. But this is, and before we go on, I do want to show this video that I was talking about. So this is a video from 9 days ago. In which Pope Leo, I haven't even seen it yet, but Pope Leo addressed the Middle East war and what's going on with Iran. And before we get into the Ted Cruz video and maybe some other videos, we'll take a look at this first. Yeah. Let's get into it. So Pope Leo, let me share this tab. And I'll be over here. And Bubble said Joe Kent speaking the truth. Somebody tell me where the lies are. Tell me where the lies are. And does this change things for y'all? Does this change anything? Because for a lot of people, I think, especially that we may interact with, people already believe this. Like, people already believe that, the Israeli lobby was controlling our politicians, controlling our government. Like, it's been pretty obvious. But I think there's a lot of people that, heard it, but probably didn't really truly believe it or know to what extent. We have to understand this is the director of counterterrorism. Like, this is the guy right under, I think he reports to Tulsi Gabbard. This is the person. So it'll be interesting to see what Tulsi has to say about all this, because she's going to be put on the spot. We know Tulsi doesn't align with this. And I believe if I heard correctly, that, hold on. All right, hold on. We got a call in. Hold on, we got a correction. My dad's giving me the game. All right, so the living spouse gets their Gold Star for the death of the spouse. All right, so that's what the Gold Star. Oh, Finn wrote it as well. All right, and I can always count on my dad or Finn. So a Gold Star spouse is a husband or wife whose spouse passed away while serving in the U.S. military. All right, so there we go. I forget what I was saying. But that's probably a good sign to just keep it moving. All right, let's move on to Pope Leo. All right, let's see what he has to say.
Sorelle, dal Iran e da tutto il Medio Oriente.
Dear brothers and sisters, news continues to arrive from Iran and from the whole Middle East that causes deep concern. In addition to the episodes of violence and devastation and the widespread climate of hatred and fear, there is the fear that the conflict will spread and that other countries in the region, including dear Lebanon, may sink again into instability.
Possano sprofondare nuovamente nell'instabilità. eleviamo la nostra umile preghiera.
We raise our humble prayer to the Lord that the clamor of bombs may cease, that weapons may fall silent, and that a space for dialogue may open up in which the voice of the peoples can be heard.
La voce dei popoli.
Well, that
Oh, no, not yet.
proposition at the end is
Not yet. Not you. We're gonna deal with you in a sec. Not yet. We're gonna deal with you in a sec. I can't front. It's a little underwhelming. I gotta be honest. Y'all know I gotta keep it real. That was a bit underwhelming. Like, when is a religious leader just gonna come out? Like, I'm begging. Why? It's like, you have the juice. You have the, I don't know who else can stand up and speak on these things and it really hit people, to the point where they'll shift the way that their minds think. And let me kind of voice it like this, because this is what I was sitting in the car and I'm always trying to figure out, how can I present this in a better way to get the result, rather than maybe presenting in a way where it's just too hard for people to accept. And I was thinking that a lot of times I talk about religion and say that, how can you be religious and be complicit in a lot of these things? Or religion is the problem because people are using it. We used the reference the other day. A lot of people want to get rid of guns, the machine guns, the semi-automatic guns. It's like, well, even if some people aren't using the guns in a bad way, we should take them out of the country. We should, get rid of them. We need to ban certain guns. And it's like, what do other people say? The people who want the guns, they say, well, no, that's just how certain people are using it. So the people that say that we should get rid of the guns, I'm just recapping the conversation. I'm not trying to have an argument. I'm telling you, I have a new way of presenting it. All right. So I'm just kind of giving y'all the context. So then I said, well, look at how religion's been used. It's been used to kill millions of people in the name of religion. So should we maybe look at like that a little bit differently? So let me kind of see if we can meet, let's say, halfway or somewhere along the way. If we have something like, what better to at least hold us accountable to saying, hey, war is not okay. It's not okay for humans to be engaging in killing each other for whatever reasons the government deems it necessary. Period. What would be best to combat that? What would be best, like what principle above our nation's principles, our nation's laws? What else would we have that people would look at that would take precedence over our national laws? You get what I'm saying? There is nothing else. So when I hear Pope Leo, it's like, I appreciate you praying for these things. I appreciate you praying for bombs to stop dropping on Iranians. And I appreciate all this, but why don't you just say this is a violation of God? Because it is, right? So this is, and the only reason why I'm asking is I just don't know another way. If there was another way or somebody else that was more influential, then we can rally and get them to, if LeBron James was going to say it, and maybe he would never say it, but you get the point that I'm making? What other thing could we all unite on? So maybe we need to put a little bit more pressure on our religious leaders and say, hey, we understand that there's a lot of differences, I think less than we like to believe, between a lot of our religions, right? But can we agree on some universal principles? Can we agree that war is a crime and that we have to figure out how to resolve these problems in a way outside of us killing each other? Can we just agree from that standpoint? Imagine the energy that would create in the rest of the world for our religious leaders to get together and say, hey, I'm not saying that I agree with, how they look at this aspect of life or that aspect of life or how you should dress or abortion or this or that. I'm not saying that we agree on all those things, but just from a standpoint to stop us from violating God's number one rule, right? If you were a parent to a whole bunch of kids, I'm pretty sure that kids killing other kids would be at the top of the list of things that you should not do, to disgrace and dishonor your parents, right? To disgrace and dishonor who gave you life, the creator. So that's all I'm asking. Like maybe we as people, when I'm saying we, maybe we can figure out a way to say, hey, we need some universal principles and guidelines. We are a lost world. We are spiritually sick. We are spiritually sick and we are severely misguided when it comes to life. And that's why we have all the death and destruction going on around the world. And we justify it. Literally, you have one group, oh, well, yeah, they were a threat to us. So we just, decided to kill some of them and, some of their civilians too. They didn't have anything to do with it, but yeah, they got caught up in it. Like Pope, pastor, whoever is the head of the Buddhist church, whoever's the head of, the Ayatollah, like, yo, can we come together and just figure out like, hey, maybe we can just agree to not kill each other. Maybe we can start off there. I'm just saying. Maybe everybody's not aligned with that. I just don't get how we get to a point where we just accept us killing each other. It's wild. Once we accept that, then it's hard to fix everything else when you are just okay with that. But I know that's not the popular thing to say. I know that that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but it's something that's relevant in my mind. So I'm going to speak it. So maybe it won't be appreciated for some time, but let's move on to Ted Cruz. And then before we get to Speaker Johnson, matter of fact, we'll do Speaker Johnson first since it came up. And then we'll have a surprise in between we have a scholar by the name of, I'll just tell you his first name. His first name is Charleston. But he's going to give us some insight on potentially what's going on in our government. So we'll take a look at what he had to say. I haven't seen the clip. And now that I'm thinking about it, he's probably not the type of person that you should play a clip that you haven't seen yet, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right, so let's take a look at what Speaker Johnson had to say. Yeah. As you're looking at him, just tell me, does it sound believable?
Well, that proposition at the end is clearly wrong. I'm on the Gang of Eight. I got all the briefings. We all understood there was clearly an imminent threat, that Iran was very close to the enrichment of nuclear capability, and they were building missiles at a pace that no one in the region could keep up with. They were far outpacing our allies and friends and us in our defense capability, because we had personnel, installations, members of the armed services, and civilians in the region. Iran was building up ballistic missiles at such a rapid pace, and we knew that their plan was to fire them upon Americans. The commander-in-chief and his administration had a very difficult decision to make. I don't know where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings, clearly, because the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence, and we understood that this was a serious moment for us. Had the president waited, I am personally convinced that we would have mass casualties of Americans, service members and others, and our installations would have been dramatically damaged. And so the president felt that he had to strike first to prevent those mass casualties. That's the summary. I can't tell you the classified part, but that's the summary that's made public, and it's accurate. Yes, Manu.
Ted Cruz joined.
Nah, not you yet, Ted. We ain't on to you yet, Ted.
Well,
this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. This is what I mean when I say, like, I don't know. It's almost to the point, I'm convinced that either they think we are just idiots, which that may be the case, because perhaps we have been idiots for a very long time. And it's almost like when somebody gets away with doing something to you, right? They get away with doing something to you, so they kind of become lazier and lazier with the effort that they're going to show to get away with it. Because they're like, damn, I can get away with this without even, like, I done did all this to get away with it, and I got away with it easy. Like, now it's to the point where I ain't got to hide it at this point. Like, I'm just allowed to cheat. She ain't say nothing the last 10 times I cheated, so now I guess it's just cool. Now I'm telling her, letting her see the condoms and whatever. It's almost like as bizarre as that. This is not a personal reference, I promise you that. Yeah, bad example. But the point that I'm trying to make is that they've abused us and got so comfortable with lying to us that now they don't even do a good job of lying. It's like, bro, did you even go backstage? Like before you got out on stage, did you at least say that once to yourself? Maybe say it in the mirror. So therefore, at least you would catch yourself and maybe say it a little bit smoother than you just delivered it right then and there. Everybody listening to that knows that he is just lying. Everybody listening to that knows that he is just flat out lying. But perhaps that is a lesson for us. Perhaps that is a lesson of the trust that we put in a lot of our politicians, the trust that we put in a lot of these mainstream news outlets that promote a lot of this stuff, that go along with a lot of the stuff that the politicians are pushing. Because let's keep it real. The same way that the money's getting funneled to the politicians, it's coming from the same pot that gets funneled to these mainstream news outlets. We all know that. We all know that, but still it's like we don't fully embrace it. We still continue to ignore it for whatever reason. The fact that he feels that he can get up, it's almost like, you remember when Barack Obama, when y'all know what I'm getting ready to use, and I'm glad that I got me a nice cup of water right here. You remember when Barack Obama, my dad knows what's coming. My dad knows what's coming. All right, remember when Barack Obama, when the Flint water in Michigan, they had the water crisis, and it may still be going on. I'm not even sure if that ever got resolved. But you remember when Barack Obama was trying to convince the people in Michigan, in Flint, that their water was good. Their water was disgusting. It wasn't okay. And Barack Obama got up there. He had a glass. I got the red cup. He had a it was clear. And he went up there like this, took a fake sip. I don't even think the water actually touched his lip. And he was like, water's good. Trying to convince a community of people to drink nasty, toxic water. This is how comfortable they get lying to us. It's almost like it's intoxicating. Like you can almost see it when Donald Trump speaks at times, where it's like, yo, bro, like, does he know that we don't believe him, or does he, is he just so intoxicated to the point where he thinks that I can just lie to all these people? I can shoot somebody in the middle of the street in Times Square and get away with it. Maybe that's what has happened with a lot of our politicians, because when they get up here and say things like that, it's like, bro, if anything, you just made us, like whatever Joe Kent said, you just made us think, damn, this may be even worse than what Joe Kent said. They all may be on it. Forget Donald Trump getting misinformation. Donald Trump got all the information. This man, the Speaker Johnson, is telling the director of national counterterrorism, I don't know where he got his information from. Who do you think is privy to more information about terrorism and terroristic threats than Joe Kent? Like that's his division. That's his thing. That's what he's there for. And them trying to sweep it under the rug and discount it just shows us even more like, damn, the control, whatever we thought the control was, it's even stronger than what we thought it was. Whatever we thought that lobbying was doing, it's even worse. It's even worse. So let's move on. Kind of like the Barack joint. Oh, I didn't even. So Steve said, hold on, what happened with the McDonald's CEO taking a bite out of the new burger? Oh yeah, that's it. Is that really a thing? But yeah, that's like, you know damn well the McDonald's CEO. Well, we know damn well he ain't eating none of them damn burgers. Is there still a blockade on Cuba? Yeah, I heard Cuba's out of electricity. Actually, I heard Cuba's out of electricity. So let's put some good energy out in the air for Cuba. And I think that's based on, they were saying something like, this had to be wrong, but I saw somebody posted on Instagram where they were saying that Cuba is actually like, they're paying like $300 like to fill up a car or something like that. And they said something crazy. They must have got it wrong, but they said that that's more than most Cubans make in a year. Like it was something crazy like that. And I'm like, hold up. I didn't know that they living like that out there. And yeah, you know, that's just America putting a stranglehold. You know, if you don't allow us to extort you, then we will, by any means necessary, we're going to get what we want. we're going to get what we want. So if we got to starve you out, if we got to create as much chaos, if we got to get it to the point where your own people are complaining because the government, y'all can't do anything, that's what America does. So that's what we do. That's what we do. You know, proud Americans, right? That's what we do. We colonize, we imperialize, we extort. It's the American way. Y'all don't like that. Watch the numbers go down. Oh, you talking about America? All right, let's move on to is this the Ted Cruz one? All right, let's listen to Ted Cruz. Let's listen to oh no, I said I had another one. Hold on. I said I had a different one. I said I had a different one before we get into Ted Cruz. So we got a scholar. We got a scholar coming up. I hope this doesn't get crazy because Charleston White, he talks crazy, but I want to show this video because everybody's calling it out. Everybody's calling it out. And this is when actually things get a little, I get a little nervous when it comes to this type of stuff. Not really nervous, but more so just a little anxious because because you know what happens when you have a group that embraces victimhood and they've been getting away with embracing victimhood for so long, when they start to get called out, it almost is like you feel attacked. Like if you've treated somebody like the special child for so long, right? You got two kids. One you treat like such a special child, you let them get away with everything. And the other kid, you discipline them. You do the things that a parent should do, right? Teach them how to, hey, sometimes that's saying you're wrong. Sometimes that may be punishing you. Sometimes that's taking away certain things to teach you a lesson. But for the other kid that you never teach that lesson, now when you actually start to try to teach them lessons, they feel attacked. They feel picked on. And I fear that may be the case with Israel. And I don't know what that temper tantrum is going to look like, if that makes sense. I don't know what that temper tantrum is going to look like. So hopefully y'all understand the point that I'm trying to make. Let's get to this video.
Trump is just a puppet.
I've been saying.
That mean-looking Jew Israel that don't have no compassion for Palestinians, between him and Donald Trump's son-in-law, that's who run America. When Trump became president, they brought in almost 100,000 Israeli soldiers to come over here to be trained in law enforcement, and they all stayed in Fort Lauderdale in Broward County. And I kept saying, man, what all y'all doing over here? And them Israeli soldiers were mean and nasty. Them Israeli soldiers, why you think they do the Palestinians so bad? They're not bringing our American troops over here because our American troops gonna show favoritism.
Yeah.
These are not our soldiers. These are UN soldiers. So now these are Israeli soldiers coming over here kicking us in our ass.
One of my best friends, AKA my camera guy.
Yeah, they're gonna fight. He need to join. He need to go let him go be in ICE.
Guess what he said?
What?
We are living in the United States of Israel.
We are. Israel have us going to war with North Korea because between North Korea, Russia, Iran, there's no Jewish bank in there. There's no central banking system in none of those countries.
Yeah.
Russia is saying, America, we know what y'all trying to do. You're trying to come over here to Ukraine, which Ukraine is a part of the USSR, right? This is our land. But because you guys think y'all are the world bullies, you're going to come put an embassy here. And you're going to assassinate me like you done Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi, and every other leader. You tried to do Fidel Castro, but he killed the motherfucker that came to kill him. So they...
I mean, we said this a while ago. I mean, when I say we, I'm talking about, it's on film, like it's on tape. Like I remember having conversations with people and I'm like, yo, based on how my understanding of what happened with Putin and, what the agreement was, and even though, that was with the USSR, like clearly they still identify with upholding that agreement. And you think that you're going to put Ukraine, like getting ready to go to join NATO and like put a U.S. base or put U.S. embassy, whatever y'all trying to do in our country? We would never allow that in America. We would never allow Russia to set up shop in Canada or Mexico without it being a problem, at least. I would think that America would have a problem with that. Maybe I don't know. But when you say that you're getting ready to bring Ukraine to NATO, I always was looking at it like, yeah, that's Putin's gonna have a problem with that. And perhaps most countries would have an issue with that as well. So let's keep going though. Let's keep going.
They're gonna try to do this to every major leader. That Russian president, the baddest in the world. Everybody's scared of him because he a real killer. Trump ain't no, that China ain't no killer. That Ukrainian president was a Hollywood actor. Between Russia, Iran, and North Korean leaders, them real killers.
So I want to highlight Connor's comment right here. I'm glad a lot of people are waking up and seeing this regardless of race. It's kind of a silver lining in all this, to be honest. That is the one silver lining in all of this, where Israel clearly put their faith in Donald Trump. They thought that Donald Trump was dumb enough and perhaps overly confident to where he felt that he could campaign on one thing, do the exact opposite, do Israel's bidding, try to pay back those hundreds of millions of dollars that he took from Miriam Edelson and other people in the Israeli lobby. He thought that he could totally disregard the people that were rocking with him and completely go against what MAGA stood for and what America First stood for, and then just afterwards say, doesn't matter, I'm MAGA, so whatever it is that I decide, y'all gonna be on board. And I think that they overplayed their hand significantly. If Kamala Harris was president, I don't think that it would have gone this way. I think that there would have been too much pushback for her to actually execute on a lot of these things. Even if she was bullied by Israel the same way, there probably just would have been too much pushback. And there would have already been pushback from, think about how MAGA would have been looking at this. Like the neoconservatives couldn't even really push for it because it's the Democrats. So you kind of just got to disagree with whatever Kamala Harris and the Democrats are doing. And a lot of the Democrats, they're already against this type of thing. So it probably wouldn't have happened this way. I don't think that it would have happened to this extent where the hand would have been overplayed. They would have pressured her just like they pressure anybody else. But Donald Trump almost got it. That's the only silver lining, because this is horrendous. And I hate to even call it a silver lining because there's people that are dying. Let me think of a new word. It's the least of the worst things that occurred from this, perhaps. And I know that may be exactly what a silver lining means, but I just have an issue kind of calling it a silver lining because when people dying, it ain't like no silver lining. Like if somebody in my family died and somebody said, well, this is the silver lining, I wouldn't be trying to hear that. So the situation being what it is, I think now a lot of people are waking up and having a lot of pushback to where this is exposing something that has been going on for a very long time. And now we're getting ready to see what happens when shit really hits the fan. And that is what makes me a little anxious throughout all this. Because once again, that kid that we've been allowing and treating like a special kid and all these things, they've been able to get away with everything. Now when you tell them no, it's different than telling somebody else no. They can't handle it. The temper tantrum's going to be there. And we know that that particular group is very powerful. I mean, that's what Joe Kent said. It's not my words. It's Joe Kent. And who else to speak on it? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens, but it doesn't even matter. Let me say this: as anxious as I get, and you anxious before football games that you prepare for. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying that I'm scared. I'm not saying, because it's just necessary. As long as we're moving in the direction of truth, then I think that that's what's necessary. So no point in being scared. You could be a little eager, could be a little anxious, be a little, kind of just trying to figure out what's going to happen. But we shouldn't fear. We can't fear. We can't afford to fear. We can't afford to fear, because fear is exactly what landed us in this place right now. So we just got to be eyes wide open. It is what it is. This is the situation. How can we move forward in the best way? That would be where I'm pushing, you know what I'm saying? Not that I'm making recommendations, but that's what I'm hopefully, adapting that mindset. Let's keep going.
They don't really people. Trump wanted people. That's why he's blowing up them Colombians and ignoring the Asians just flooding our country with fentanyl.
Hold up, Bubbles, you really don't know who this is? So this is Charleston White. So Charleston White is a comedian. I don't even know what he is. He's just a personality. And he's one of these people, he uses this character that y'all are seeing right now, because you probably like, yo, who's this weirdo? Like, but he's a very intelligent brother. He's been in politics. He's actually out of Fort Worth, I think Dallas-Fort Worth area. But if you listen to him, he uses this character to usually call out a lot of like gang banging culture and a lot of bad things within Black culture, but he's just pretty informed on a lot of these different topics. So I know he comes across how he comes across, but hear him out. Hear him out. Can't judge a book by its cover.
They trying to get a little dope over here. China, a year ago, showed America a whole fentanyl factory. Yeah, we making fentanyl, and we send it over there to y'all. We ain't went to war with them. So now, man, this is a puppet game. Trump is just a puppet.
I've been saying.
That mean-looking Jew Israel that don't have no compassion for Palestinians. Between him and Donald Trump's son. And
Hold up. What does this mean? Because I just started a membership thing today. I just signed up for this. Hold up. What does this mean? Stop the show. Hold on. Boom Chow, you gifted the OG Network memberships? Wait. Is this, did you just give people memberships to OG Network? Because we got memberships now. So it's going to be more exclusive content, more exclusive live streams. We're going to be able to get into some of these deeper conversations that we talk about, not have to worry about having just an open audience, but us being a little bit more comfortable with the people that we're discussing a lot of these topics with. But Maya, text me right now and explain to me what just happened. All right, we're going to keep going with the video, but somebody needs to explain to me what just happened.
That's who run America. Donald Trump, that Kushner kid, that's who run America. That's who writing the policies. He's been doing it for the last two administrations with Trump. He's a very tactical, very smart kid. That's why he don't get in front of the camera. Trump always wanted to be popular and be big in America. He was America's golden boy who pretty much failed at every business, and he never really got the credit and the accolades that he's getting now. That's why he's a bully. I was a bully. Yeah, if I can bully you, so what if you can't stop me? Talk about your ass every day if you can't beat me up. Yeah, stop me. You can't stop me from scoring on you. I'm unsportsmanlike conduct. Yeah, bitch ass nigga. I'm running. Yeah, you stop me, nigga.
Yeah.
I mean, is he not describing Trump? Is he not describing Trump in his own way? Man, Boom Chow, appreciate you. Yeah, man, I wanted to support, but I couldn't think of anything in the super chat. Thank you. Like, that's dope. That is dope, man. Like, yo, man. Let's keep. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Sincerely. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. We put a lot of time into all this. We put a lot of time and thoughts, and it not only drains, a little bit of my battery, but it also drains a lot of my family's battery too with a lot of this stuff. And this is truly a family affair. Like, this is a family affair. My dad watches every show. My mom watches every show. Maya watches every show. Like, this is my extended family, that you will get to know in here. Thank you. Let's keep going, man. Let's keep going.
And that's what America does to the world.
No, that's a fact. Because why is it that we can always go in every country and set up a base and never leave?
Yeah, I'm with America. I'm not leaving. Going back to Africa, tell your ass, I'm staying here. Ain't no Chick-fil-A's over there. One thing I know, as much as you holler you don't like America, take your ass somewhere else and say something about the president. I understand the concept of make America great again when we was tough. When men was men and women was afraid of men. They all ain't afraid of us no more. Bitch, shut up. Mo, you be quiet back in the 80s.
We're gonna move on to Ted Cruz. and get a little bit into that. We got what we needed out of this, but yeah, I just wanted to use that as a, like I said, I should have watched the video earlier. That's on me, but it is what it is. You know, if you know him, he clowns. I'm not excusing the behavior at all. He got to be held accountable for that. But yeah, that's not obviously what I'm rocking with. I don't treat Maya like that at all. Like, I actually feel like I get treated. Like, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. So we got Ted Cruz. Let me stop. We got Ted Cruz. Let's hear what Ted Cruz had to say. Y'all know Ted Cruz is a huge Donald Trump defender. Ted Cruz is like a whore. I'm gonna be honest. It just gives a lot of whore energy where he's just like willing to do any and everything in order to just be in the favor of Israel, be in the favor of whoever is, you know, at the top of the Republican conservative party. Like, this man, as a Christian, said that he got into office with one thing on his mind, and that's to passionately be a supporter of Israel. And it's like, what? Like, how does this even? But that's the world that we live in. Let's hear what he got to say.
Cruz joins us now, Republican senator from Texas. Senator, always good to have you on the program. I appreciate it. There's been some reaction on Capitol Hill today to the resignation of Joe Kent, top counterterrorism official within the administration. What's yours?
Well, listen, if any official in the administration disagrees with the national security policies of the president, he or she should resign. And Mr. Kent apparently vigorously disagreed with the president's decision. I think President Trump was exactly right to act to protect America and protect America from the threats posed by Iran. The reason President Trump launched this military attack on Iran is because for 47 years, Iran has been the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism.
I want y'all to hold that. For 47 years, Iran has been the leading sponsor of state terrorism. Let's hear it again. I want y'all to hear what he says. So we're talking about right now. So pretty much from here on out, we can pretty much nuke Iran, basically, by Ted Cruz's logic. We'd be justified in nuking them. And actually, that's something that we're going to get into, because I put this on X earlier. It seems like even Trump mentioned this. He said we have weapons that could destroy their whole country. And it's like, whoa. Did he just threaten to nuke them? And it seems like, I don't know where this ends up, but it's like, when Donald Trump doesn't get his way, if Israel doesn't get their way, what do you tend, like when you have an argument with somebody, let's say you're having an argument with your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, whoever, right? Your boyfriend. When it gets heated, what ends up happening? Somebody just says something typically to try to hurt the other person, right? They hit below the belt. Now I'm going to hit even lower. So in this type of situation where if Iran is sitting back like, yo, we're good. Y'all thought y'all were going to bully us, but no, we're chilling. We're not asking for a ceasefire. Now Donald Trump's throwing out little stuff like, well, we could get rid of their country, or whatever he said. I don't know exactly the right words, so I don't want to put any, words that he didn't say in his mouth, but it seemed like he was clearly making that type of threat. So when America and Israel doesn't get their way, what do we think that they're just going to, we're just going to walk away? Israel's just going to walk away and say, you know what? Y'all got it. It's cool. They trying to already claim victory, but nobody believes them. So I don't know if that's going to work. I'm not saying anything to scare us, to try to project that and to try to bring that to fruition, but I am talking about something that was already said. So therefore, perhaps we should get ahead of this thing and reel it in rather than act surprised if it ever does start getting to that type of point. That's all I'm saying. But let's hear what Ted Cruz had to say about Iran being the leading sponsor of terrorists, whatever he said.
This military attack on Iran is because for 47 years, Iran has been the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism.
The leading state sponsor of terrorism. And Finn said, how do y'all vote these people into office? Finn, I don't know. This is what happens when you vote for the lesser of two evils for generations upon generations, year after year, election after election. This is what happens. You eventually get ding, 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 evil. And then the next time you get ding, 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 the greater, worse evil. And then as the groups become more and more radical, then it allows the groups to then lean into whatever evil, aspects of their political party and agendas that they can. And then it just becomes okay because, well, I don't care. They letting boys play sports against girls. So I'm just talking about from my standpoint. So maybe I'll disregard some of the others. That's what happens. Nothing to be proud of. It's embarrassing. And we should all hold ourselves accountable. This is why me, who voted for Donald Trump, I feel like it's on me even more to call out the things that Donald Trump is doing that's putting us in a dangerous position. That's how I look at it. I feel like it's my responsibility. I can't say, well, I voted for this and I didn't vote for that. I have to take responsibility for all of these things. We talk about it all the time. A lot of y'all tuned into the show before the election when I was saying, I'm going with Trump, but I am a little hesitant with this Israel thing. I don't know where this is going to be. Well, I can't sit here and say, well, I didn't vote for that aspect. No, I have to be held accountable for all of it. I have to be, and that's what I think will move us into a better place when people start holding their politicians that they voted for more accountable than placing blame and calling out what the opposite side is doing. I'm going to call out what the Democrats are doing too. Y'all know that. But when it comes to, I don't need to call out Joe Biden right now. The person that I voted for is in office and they're fucking up. So I have to address it. So let me, and I already apologized, but this is terrible. I feel terrible. I feel terrible with a lot of this stuff. I do. That's why maybe Joe Kent's feeling a similar way. Maybe this is something I've heard Tucker Carlson say, because he went along with certain things with the war in Iraq, he feels even more of an obligation to stand up again, with this. So hopefully we just have more people able to just call a spade and not fall victim to just aligning with whatever their party says and not calling out and holding accountable in public, not behind the scenes, in public. Because when politicians hold their allies and their party held accountable behind the scenes, it doesn't do anything for the people that voted them. The public doesn't see it. So then the public doesn't hold them accountable. So let's keep it moving. So keep that in mind. He said Iran was the #1 sponsor of terrorism.
The Iranian regime has killed nearly 1,000 Americans. They provided over 90% of the funding to Hamas, to Hezbollah, to the Houthis, and the Ayatollah, who is no longer with us, not once but twice, hired hitmen to try to murder President Trump. And so President Trump, as commander-in-chief, made the resolute decision to act to protect Americans, to keep Americans safer. Mr. Kent apparently disagreed with that, and so if that's the case, resignation was the right course of action.
They just keep throwing this he hired 2 people. Nobody knows about any of this. Maybe it's somewhere where the Epstein files are and the 9/11 files and the JFK files, because we're not aware of this. And if Donald Trump looked into this, why don't Donald Trump look into who was behind, what happened in Butler? Because the more that this goes on, I'm starting to feel like that was staged, just being real with y'all. And at the time, I remember my boy Steve, I remember a few people, I shouldn't say names, but I know a few people were bringing up certain things about maybe it looked a little bit, I don't know, you know what I mean? And at the time I was like, nah, I don't know about anybody staging that type of thing. But then I'm looking at these videos and I don't know if they're AI generated, but I saw a video the other day that maybe I'll put on the show on Friday where it's like, oh, wait, I've never seen this angle. Not the angle where they said the flag was lowered, but some angle straight on where Trump's like, hold up. Yeah, fight. And I'm like, wait, what? I didn't see that angle. Or maybe I was just looking at it through the goggles of getting caught up in all this BS. But I want to also address what Ted Cruz said in the beginning of that segment right there that I just played. He said that in the beginning that they were the #1 sponsor of terrorism and that they've killed 1,000 Americans. Think about how many people Americans have killed. I keep going back to this Brown study where they said that between 1971 and 2021, America has been responsible for killing indirectly or directly, starvation, destroying certain things, and obviously direct killings in combat. There was a few different areas. And it was 38 million people. So I just have to ask myself, if Iran is such a terrorist organization, a terrorist regime, and they killed 1,000 Americans, which clearly we all should be upset about. Every life matters. But 1,000 is a lot different than when you look at what us as Americans, what we've done. So I'm not saying this to justify anything that Iran has done. What I'm saying this is I think it's smart to put ourselves in other people's shoes to understand why they're doing the things that they're doing. So hopefully we can figure out how to reach some sort of agreement so people on both sides can stop dying. So when I put myself in the other side's shoes, I'm like, well, damn, you're saying that they're the terror groups, but they've killed 1,000 of us. We've killed millions of people. We killed 1 million people in Iraq, 500,000 children. Like, if they're terrorists for 1,000 people, what does that make us for killing millions? And why are we surprised when any country would say death to America, when any country would call us Satan? What would we call ourselves? What would you call somebody who contributes to to those numbers of deaths? And if one of your family members was dead? And see, this is where we get caught up. Oh, well, it's not Americans. Oh, well, it's not white Americans. It's not black Americans. It's brown. They're Muslim. They're not Christian. They're not this. They're not that. They're not Jewish. They're jihadists. They're this. They're Islamists. They wear stuff on their head. They don't have the same culture as us. So that makes it justified. I'm just trying to look at this from a big picture point of view, because only looking at it from one side is exactly what we do to be in the position that we're in when it comes to our politics. If you only root for the Democrats, if you only root for the Republicans and don't ever realize, like, oh shit, it's really two sides of the same coin. The same people that give the Democrats money, they give the Republicans money. Big Pharma giving the Democrats money, giving the Republicans money. The Israeli lobby, they giving Democrats money, they giving Republicans money. Silicon Valley, big tech, they giving the Democrats money, they giving Republicans money. But if we never realize that, then we're just gonna keep just being a silly fanatic, a useful idiot, being a fan rather than being an intelligent adult, a responsible adult, responsible for the world that we leave to the next generation. So that's why we have to put ourselves in the other side's shoes, because we'll just get caught up in whatever propaganda comes our way that aligns with our agenda without ever truly understanding and having a clear grasp on the situation at hand. At least that's how I see it. Maybe y'all see it a little different. Let's keep it moving.
Senator, as you well know, Kent's resignation letter touched on something that has created some divisions within the MAGA or America First movement, that Israel inordinately either pressured or talked the president into this conflict. I'd like you to evaluate that.
So I actually think there are very few divisions. There are a few loudmouth commentators. There are people like Tucker Carlson, who has become the most rabidly anti-Israel commentator, ostensibly on the right. He also has become one of the leading defenders of Iran. He has been a vocal defender of Islamists. He has defended Hamas, said he didn't think they were a terrorist organization. Tucker Carlson has suggested we should apologize to the family of Osama bin Laden. I think those are extreme positions. That is not where Republicans are. That is not where conservatives are. Republicans are overwhelmingly standing with President Trump. And just because Tucker Carlson and a handful of other mouthpieces online.
I don't think that's true, that Republicans overwhelmingly are standing with Donald Trump. I don't know if it's overwhelmingly. I don't know. I really don't know.
Decide to embrace a radical isolationist view that is deeply anti-Israel and that is an apologist for radical Islamists. It doesn't mean that's where the voters are. I think the voters, and the polling shows this, at least on the Republican side of the aisle, are overwhelmingly, nearly 90%, standing with President Trump because he's acting boldly to keep America safe.
Do you want to name check anyone else on that side, in addition to Tucker Carlson?
Oh, listen, there are plenty. Tucker, I think, has been the most vocal. He's been the most harmful. I said last week, I think Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous demagogue in America. And I do think the poison they're spreading, it is getting some purchase with young people, with teenagers and 20-somethings. And I think it is an obligation of all of us to stand up and speak out. Look, I've also been vocal.
He said that I want to say, let's go back to what he said about the demagogue.
Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous demagogue in America.
He said that he thinks that Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous demagogue in America. I didn't really know what demagogue meant. Heard the term, thought I knew what it meant, said, you know what, let's look it up. Let's take a look at this. A demagogue is a political leader who gains power by appealing to emotions, prejudices, and fears rather than using rational argument. This sounds like a group, but I don't know if it sounds like Tucker Carlson. Y'all know who it sounds like. Take the political leader out there. And if you put a group who gains power by appealing to emotions, prejudices, and fears rather than using rational argument, isn't this like Israelis' argument for this 8-front war? The emotions of Americans, they try to convince us, right? The emotions of Americans, as soon as you bring up anything about Israel, we're reminded about the Holocaust. Rightfully so. I'm not saying that it's not rightfully so or not, but you can't use that to justify what you're doing right now. You can't use you going through a Holocaust to try to commit another Holocaust against another group of people. And for us to think that that's okay. So appealing to emotions, prejudices. All those Muslims, they're bad. All of them, they're brown people. They're terrorists. That's what they want us to believe, right? They're the Amalekites. That's not coming out of my mouth. That's coming out of Bibi Netanyahu's mouth and Israeli leadership. They're the Amalekites, the group that God told, he told Samuel to tell Sal, I forget the exact, I'm losing it, to go kill them. Go kill that entire group. Kill the women, the kids, the men, the family dog, the cattle, everybody. That's who you referenced Palestinians to. Seems like a pretty big prejudice, in my opinion, and fears. They're trying to kill us. How many times have we heard that? Weapons of mass destruction. Iran right now. Well, yeah, we had to strike them because if somebody else struck them, then they were going to strike us. Like, what? So I don't know how that term applies to Tucker. I really don't, but neither here nor there, I guess. Let's get back to Ted Cruz so we can get enlightened a bit, so he can inform us on what's really going on, because I'm sure he's privy to more information than Joe Kent.
And I do think the poison they're spreading, it is getting some purchase with young people, with teenagers and 20-somethings. And I think it is an obligation of all of us to stand up and speak out. Look, I've also been vocal that I'm concerned about efforts to divide faithful Catholics from evangelical Christians, Protestants. I think that Catholics and Protestants standing together has been really the foundation of the conservative movements for many decades. And those who are seeking to sow dissension are really, their ultimate end is to see the Democrats win, to see the conservative coalition fractured. That'd be tragic for America. I don't think it's going to happen. And I think those who are spending money trying to make that happen are very likely enemies of the United States, are nations like Qatar and China and Russia and others, I think, that are spending real money.
The nerve of this nigga. No, I shouldn't say that. That was bad. But the nerve. The nerve. This man is talking about the amount of money that Qatar, however you pronounce it, Russia, what do you say, China is spending. While Joe Kent just resigned and exposed that the Israeli lobby, which is paid influence. That's what lobbying is. You pay to have an influence over politicians. But he's talking about and calling out that influence rather than this influence. Qatar or Qatar, however you pronounce it, that was like, I know that Ted Cruz likes to call Tucker Carlson, right? He likes to use that nickname, but that was the place where America decided was a safe place for everybody. This is the same place that wanted to give Donald Trump that big plane. But now when I guess they're not aligned with you, and I don't even think they're not aligned with you, like Iran, I don't think that Qatar is happy with Iran, and I don't think Iran is happy with Qatar. But now it's like they literally just lump every single group of Muslims, Arabs, not even just Arabs, because Iranians are not Arabs. I don't think they identify as Arabs. I think they identify as Persians, which may be closer to Europeans. I don't know. I don't really know how that works out. But this is, they're playing in our face. They are playing in our face. All right, so it is Qatar. All right, it is Qatar. Oh, wait, is Qatar or Qatar? I don't know. Yo, I thought it was Qatar, but I don't know. I've heard people say they're playing in our face. Let's keep going.
Trying to damage America, but I think America is a lot stronger than a bunch of bots online.
And Senator, I'm going to get into the SAVE Act.
Bots. This man is calling out bots. Bibi Netanyahu is putting out AI-generated videos where he's taking fake sips of coffee and in the coffee shop discussing military strategy to act as if he's alive, to give proof of life in videos that on X, Grok is clearly flagging as this is an high-level AI-generated video. And this guy has the nerve to talk about bots. Israel, pro-Zionist, Jewish people, just being honest, have a stronghold, I believe more of a stronghold on our social media than Muslims, Arabs. I think that we can, clearly say that that's the case. It's just wild. It's wild for these people on this side, these neoconservatives, to always talk about the threat of this person infiltrating our government and whatnot, when our government is already infiltrated. The problem is Ted Cruz is getting money from them. He's getting money from them. He's a fake Christian. He uses Christianity however he can, really to just do the bidding of Israel. His real loyalty is to Israel. And I can't even say his real loyalty is to Jewish people, because I don't even think that the leadership in Israel is religious. I don't think that the people that founded Israel, I believe they were atheists. And I don't believe that Bibi Netanyahu is Jewish. I think that he just wears that, no pun intended, he just wears the hat whenever it suits his purpose. That's just the vehicle. That's just the tool that they use in order to justify being there. Now, if you really are Jewish, you don't have to wear anything. You don't have to wear your kippah. You don't have to wear, if that's how you pronounce it, you don't have to wear anything. Just show me that you're godly. The same thing with any other religion, just show me. You don't have to announce it. I'm telling you, based on the way that they move, based on the way that that state was created, I don't think that those people were religious. I think it's pretty known about the people that actually founded Israel at the time when it was founded, I should say, or established, not founded, right? It was founded, like as if nobody was there. But is that the end of this video? Oh no, we have a little bit more to go.
And a couple of other issues, but one last thing on Iran. You might have heard Charlie D'Agata talking about two other significant people within the Iranian regime eliminated. That's the Israeli term. War is a blunt instrument, so let me ask you a blunt question. Can the U.S. and Israel, in tandem or separately, kill their way to regime change?
Look, I believe the objective here should be to collapse this regime. Why? Because this regime has been waging war with America for 47 years. As I said, they've killed nearly 1,000 Americans, and they are actively spending money. The Biden administration flowed over $100 billion to the Ayatollah. who would lead mobs chanting death to America. That made no sense. President Trump is taking a very simple position, which is if you are killing Americans, if you continue trying to kill Americans, the commander-in-chief is going to act to stop you. Now, we are not going to see a scenario where we see hundreds of thousands of Americans.
If you're killing Americans, what if we're killing them? Like this, we have to remind ourselves. We bombed them last year, right? We bombed them. They responded. The group of terrorists, right? They funded the most evil people in the world, right? The Iranians. They called up Trump and let him know exactly when and where they were getting ready to strike, just so they wouldn't probably look like cowards to their people. Just as a symbolic gesture. Like, bro, you like, it's almost like somebody punches you in your face, like, bro, like, you gotta at least just let me slap you, bro. You got me looking crazy out here in front of my wife, in front of my kids. Like, you gotta, like, bro, I'm not gonna slap you hard, but just I'm gonna slap you. Just roll with the slap. That's what they did. And we're acting as if they're out here with guns trying to, like, you know what I mean? Like in that type of situation. And I do have to address, I got a fact check coming in, not necessarily a fact check, but my dad was telling me about with the Cuban Missile Crisis, how Kennedy wouldn't allow, Kennedy would not allow, and maybe somebody else said this in the chat, but it's my dad. I got to stop the show and read the message. President Kennedy prevented Cuba from allowing a Russian missile base. So this was just to the point that, you know, obviously Putin wouldn't feel comfortable with one of his ops, you know, now on its territory. So let's just keep it moving.
American troops on the ground for an extended period of time. Iran is not Iraq. However, if we see this regime fall, if we see Iran have a government that is no longer led by a radical Islamist who wants to murder Americans and is actively murdering Americans, that will be a dramatic national security improvement for the United States. And I think that's why the president is acting. I think that's also why Israel is acting. Both are acting in their self-defense.
Is that worth boots on the ground?
The president has made clear that we're not going to see extended boots on the ground. I could envision an operation, perhaps something like what we saw in Venezuela, where there was Delta Force went in a 2-hour incursion, took on opposing fire, took out about 100 Cuban soldiers and apprehended Maduro and his wife, brought him back for federal charges and prosecution for being a narco-terrorist. By the way, that likewise made America much safer. I could envision limited boots on the ground for a specific objective, but I think the chance of anything like an extended occupation, the chances of that are zero.
Nobody watching this. I don't like that covering, Ted Cruz covering. Nobody watching this believes that this is a Venezuela type of situation. Nobody watching this. If that's what y'all, don't tell me what you could see. If that was the case, you would have already done it. Stop trying to play, like, which one is it? Either they're the most destructive terrorist type of groups. Donald Trump the other day said that this is high level chess. He was talking about the Iranians. If somebody has a clip of that video, he was talking about how this is high level chess. He was saying these are very smart people that we're dealing with. That's what Donald Trump said about the Iranians. These are very smart people that we're dealing with. And now Ted Cruz is acting as if, yeah, we could just go up in there, you know. Bro, no, we're watching what's going on right now. If y'all could have done that, then why are there American people that are already hurt? If y'all could have done that, like, it's like you're saying that it's not Iraq. I would probably venture out to say that it's probably closer to Iraq than it is Venezuela. Matter of fact, Iran it doesn't seem like they're flinching. It does not seem like they're flinching. Now, maybe that's just, you know, they read the 48 Laws of Power or something. They don't show, you know, maybe they read the same book as Trump, but Trump's just showing it a little bit. His face gets red maybe a little bit more than theirs. But I don't think that you're going to convince us that you could just go in there with this little group and then take. What do you think's going to happen, bro? These are not. This is not Venezuela. I don't need. What religion is Venezuela? Let me ask y'all a question. What religion is Venezuela? What extreme religion do they have? I don't know what their religion is. I would assume that they're Christian based. I don't know. When you have a group of Shia Muslims and you just assassinated and martyred their supreme leader, and they just had another one in there like it was nothing. You've gotten rid of their entire leadership and they just replace them. And you think that that's like Venezuela? Bro, they're not. I hate to say this, but they're going to keep fighting until all of them are like, I don't even want to say this, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? There's an old Rocky movie. There's a scene to Rocky where Rocky's talking about, I don't even know what movie this is, but he's talking about the Palestinian people. And he's like, yo, they don't give up. They will never surrender. You're playing games with people that are willing to take it perhaps further than you're willing to take it. And you're going to have to, it's like you get into it with somebody where it's like, damn, am I gonna have to kill this person? Like, yo, what? Like, they just like, yo, stay down. Like, it's over. No. Y'all keep playing with them. If they're that extreme Muslims as y'all make them out to be, why would you think that this would ever stop once you start killing their supreme leaders? Now you're trying to kill, I believe y'all, there's rumors that the son died. So are we almost done with this Ted Cruz video? It's about enough of Ted Cruz for me. Then we're going to get into this breath work and get up out of here.
Let's talk about what's before the Senate right now.
All right, we don't need that. All right. I'm going to wrap this up a little quickly just because I got to get to the airport like 4 o'clock. Yeah, we're moving around. But hopefully, but by the way, before everybody gets off, first off, I need y'all to do me two favors. I need y'all to one, like if you haven't liked already, and then I need y'all to stay for this breath work. We're not going to do the meditation, even though you should do meditation before you go to sleep. Now, maybe more than ever, that should be a part of our daily ritual. But we're going to do this breath work. But I just want to say, I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. This felt good. We're going to be figuring out how to do more night shows. Maybe once a week, start off there and then just get a bit of a feel. But I'm just very appreciative of what we have here. Y'all give me, a lot of confidence and comfort in a lot of ways to have these type of conversations that, a lot of people don't have people that they can engage in these type of combos with, not openly to this point. So I'm very appreciative of it, extremely appreciative of it. This is something that I'm passionate about. This is my purpose, yo. This is a part of my purpose, at least right now. Maybe that'll change. Maybe I don't know, but I'm very much into this. So I appreciate y'all for helping me along the way. We got some love with the chats here earlier. Man, the type of support that y'all show, it's really unmatched, and it's not just with the super chats, but it's, you guys tuning in all the time. Yeah, you guys make the show. You guys make the show. A lot of times y'all show is way better in the chat is way better than me, what I'm saying. And I recognize that. So shout out to Boom Chow, who showed some love with getting the memberships. Did I actually miss one? Hold on. I think I missed a super chat from earlier. Hold on. Shoot. Hold on. Okay, I got that one. And then I just saw one come in. Hold on. Let me get that. Shout out to Paul, man. Appreciate you, Paul. Really appreciate you, Paul. Are we going to invade the people who supposedly made all the effing IEDs? Who's that? That's a different kind. Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? I feel like I think I know who you're talking about, but I don't know. But Yeah, appreciate y'all. All right, so let's get into, y'all know Big Bro introduced this box breathing to us, Big Bro Steve. We're going to share the screen and we're going to go through this technique. This is actually going to be a 4-7-8 technique. Oh, are we going to invade the people who supposedly made all the F and IDs? Hold up, Paul, explain it to me. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, you're saying that, are we going to invade the people that made all the, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. All right, I was over here lost. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how all this stuff plays out. It'll be interesting to see how all this stuff plays out. Yo, I'm really praying and just, you know, I understand that we may just need to go through a little bit of a rock bottom or, you know, get to the truth, and that truth may hurt a bit getting to it, but I think the good energy will prevail. So matter of fact, you can't think, because thinking something, you got to actually feel it. That's what Napoleon Hill says. It has to be some sort of emotional connection to it. And the deeper the emotional connection to it, that's how we program our subconscious, elevate on that frequency and spread that to the rest of the world. So everybody else can feel comfortable getting on board as well. So good's going to win. Good's going to win. But we need people to step up. We need people to step up. Good's not going to win unless good exerts the same amount of effort and energy that bad and evil is willing to exert. Just my opinion. So let's live in it. Let's live in it. Let's lead by example for sure. So, all right. So we're going to go through this box breathing. It's a 4-7-8 technique. It's a 4-second inhale in which on our inhales, we're intentionally focused on inhaling all the positive energy, the positive limitless energy, all the positive things that we want, encouraging things, empowering things that are going to have us as confident as possible, moving around, going back to that superhero feeling that we potentially used to have as little kids, right? When we thought and knew we could accomplish anything in this world. Then we're going to do a 7-second hold, then an 8-second exhale, getting rid of all that negative limiting energy, whatever's holding us back from maximizing our potential, becoming our greatest versions, and striving for all the things that we really want to achieve in life. Striving for the things that we would achieve, or that we would, going for the things that we would go for if we knew that we could accomplish anything in this world. So that's what we'll focus on, getting all the negative energy out. So therefore we can open the door for that positive energy. So if you want, close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm just going to follow the sound of the bell. The first bell is going to start on the inhale, or you can keep your eyes open and follow the yellow dot. I think it works a little bit better if you're in a safe place to just follow the sound. But on that note, do I have it on the screen? I do. All right, I just lost it over here somewhere. Let me make it a little bigger. All right, wait, let me turn the volume on. I guess that would help. Am I tripping? Where's the volume at? Hold on. Oh, here we go. All right, here we go. Go through 3 more cycles. Be intentional with the inhale. Inhale all that positive energy. Exhale all the negative. Let's go through our last cycle. Be very intentional. Y'all know what we come here to do. Elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, raising our standards to become the best leaders, followers, role players. That means whatever the role that is necessary for us to win and to move in a more positive direction, that's what we embrace. And we got to sharpen our tools, sharpen our skills, have the confidence to overcome a lot of the challenges that are going to come our way. And keep in mind that we have to embrace that the end destination, the end goal, is worth more than any discomfort that we'll face along the way. So keep that in mind. Strength and honor, onward and upward. Let's get to that bag. Now, what do I mean when I say get to that bag for the new people on here? When I say get to the bag, I'm not just talking about money, and may not be talking about money at all, but it's all the things that we focus on throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month that will ultimately add up to what's going to ultimately be our impact on this world that we like to call our personal legend. So in order to make sure we're on the proper trajectory, moving as efficiently as possible, as we're living in our purpose, striving for purposeful abundance, we got to be clear on the things that we're focusing on every single day. So the things I like to focus on: peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and in everything we do, integrity, got to have balance, right? And balance is not always going to be 50-50. It's whatever's necessary at that particular time, right? And then, of course, a little sprinkle, a big sprinkle, matter of fact, a whole lot of perspective, all right? Making sure that we're always keeping a proper perspective. And with perspective, we got to be able to see different sides of the same thing, right? We're looking at it from a different angle, different vantage point. We may approach it differently. We may have a different opinion on it, and we may understand somebody else seeing it from a different perspective. So on that note, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Yeah. I'll see y'all on Friday. I'll see y'all on Friday and 8 a.m. Ew.